So, subsequent actions. We spent the next several days inspecting the systems. We broke them down, inspected them, found out what caused it, which was the blockage in the ice. Injected with methanol to evaporate the liquids. First of all, it's extremely rare for us to have liquid in the system. The ESD shutdown system was tested several times, found to be functioning. And at the end of the day, our heat trace failed. So we had a piece of heat trace, it was a rated piece of heat trace, which means it can operate in a class 1 div 1 area. Has a thermostat control on it that was modulating it. We took the thermostat control, modified it so it has constant output, constant heat to the smaller piping. Then the full functionality, we waited, we tested everything. Well, you guys got a lot of calls from Laura over the next subsequent days. We tested an extraordinary amount to make sure that the system was prepared to go, and we really weren't in a rush to put it back into service until we knew, we felt comfortable that everything we had done was going to restore it and hopefully prevent it again. And full functionality was restored on January 11th. We test ran the unit that night for about 8 hours, and then actually just today, about an hour before I got here, 2 hours before I got here, we brought the unit up online in production. And that's actually the best thing for it. It sweeps everything out, it runs, a lot of heat going through there now, come from the compressor. So we feel that the additional, putting the methanol in there, cleaning it out, modifying the heat trace output, just looking at the pilot power pressure a little bit more constantly, checking it, I feel comfortable the system is ready to run. Does that mean it's 100% all the time, every day? I certainly hope so. This is the first time it's ever happened to me, first time it's ever happened to the station that I've been involved with. And we've taken and applied everything that we did here at Searsmont to all of our other stations as well to make sure that we don't have the same kind of failure. Yes, sir.
A couple of things I don't quite understand.
Okay.
You said that ice caused the problem. And you also mentioned that there was liquid in the system. Here in Maine, we have temperatures that go below zero, common temperatures below zero. Is this system not designed to prevent ice from forming and tripping these valves? I don't get that.
Yeah, so like I mentioned, you have a very small piece of piping compared to the normal piping, and it's designed to go to a fail-safe mode. It's also set up so it's got heat trace on there just in case you have that issue. The heat trace failed. So the heat trace allowed the small amount of liquid to form. With natural gas, when you have it in there, and the pressure as the pressure comes up, regardless of the temperature, if you do have liquid in there, it'll cause things to freeze up. So you could potentially get an ice block in the middle of summer or something. But our heat trace failed, and it caused that system to not operate in a check and balance. So we developed a block in the orifice, and this prevented the valve from swinging closed like it was supposed to.
Not good enough.
You know, I didn't come here to make up a story or pretend that it didn't happen, right? So obviously it happened, and we've done everything we can to mitigate it, and we responded as quickly as we can. We feel we've done the best we can. Yes?
My biggest concern is that this type of thing might happen, but we had to wait 50 minutes, and I, for one, feared for my life. I'm sitting there getting dressed, and 5 minutes of trial listening to the ball drop, and I thought when it hit midnight, we were going to blow up. That's
way. We maintain an on-call list, so you figure it was New Year's Eve, 10 to 12. We had 6 people that were available and able to respond in a short time, ranging from Brewer to as far south as Richmond. We had people come out. It's hard until you've actually got the person on the ground, and so we're talking to the fire department, talking with Waldo County Dispatch, saying, yes, we've isolated the pipe, it's only coming from the compressor station, but we didn't know at that time what had caused it. A lot of things go through your head at 10 or 12. Okay, I'm not seeing something, I'm looking at a computer screen, I'm seeing pipeline pressures dropping, I'm seeing valves that close upstream and downstream, but I can't exactly see what's happening in that compressor station. So it's hard until the fire department gets on scene. They relay to me exactly what's going on. They asked me if we should evacuate. I said, no, I don't think you need to evacuate now at this point. It's coming from the ESD stack. We've got the pipeline bottled in. And that's also one of the reasons why we wanted to collect all the phone numbers and everything to set something up to call. But it's going to take, that's as fast of a response as we're going to get when we have to send somebody in to mechanically close it. I don't want to lie and be like, yeah, next time we'll be there in 10 minutes. We have a 300-mile linear facility to cover. Typical response procedures that we talk about the fire departments is really up to 2 hours.
What about somebody being on site?
Stations are designed to set up and run and automated.
When they put that station in, it was supposed to have a 24-hour manned station.
Ever since I've been involved with the pipe.
We sat right in this type of an office, it was at school, and that's what they told us.
Yeah, that is what they told us.
Well, that's, unfortunately, that's not the case. The station's designed to be...
So what you're telling us tonight is a whole different story.
It's not lying. The station's manned. It's manned in Texas.
Our facility, and you know, Don has been working in this industry for a long time. I have, and our staff has as well. I mean, the last thing we want to do is put anyone in harm's way. I mean, I live less than a quarter mile from the pipeline down in Pownell, you know, and I've heard this stuff, and if it happened to me, you bet I'd be on the phone too, saying what's going on here. You know, that's the last thing we want to do. We want to be good neighbors. We want to know, you know, what your concerns are, and that's why we're here tonight.
And I want you to remember what you just said to everybody here.
Yep.
Because when I have my chance to get up and speak, I want everybody to listen to what I got to say, and you too, okay?
Yeah, that's why we're here.
Go ahead, we have one in front of you.
Yeah.
Go
I
ahead.
just wondered about the possibility of having someone more local trained. I mean, I don't know if we could have our fire chief trained to be.
It was first for me in my career, but everything that we did was the way we were trained, the way the system was designed. It took care of itself. Even though that's hard to believe, that's exactly what it did.
You first.
My question is this. You say you put chemicals into the propane, into your gas to make it smell, so that you can smell it.
Correct.
Okay.
And it's the same thing that they put in propane to make it smell. When it smells, because that night my house reeked of it.
Right.
Because I live right at the end of your road, okay?
Mm-hmm.
What danger am I to a spark?
You know, so mercaptan is an inert material, and it's put in there
No,
just as well, right?
it shows that there is.
They separate,
Yes.
so they're not chemically bonded. So going back to, so what happens at Baileyville, we have a pair of odorant tanks and an odorant injection system. So depending on the volume of gas that comes down the system, it drips the mercaptan into the system, pickles the pipe, odorizes the gas. When it disperses, the two actually, they're not chemically bonded. So natural gas rises. Mercaptan weighs about the same as air. I think the density is like 1.08, something like that. So
I'm
that's going to blank it out.
getting the smell of
You're
what
getting the
you're
smell,
putting in,
but you're not
but
getting the gas.
Correct.
gas.
That's correct.
Okay.
That gas is going out with such force out of a 16-inch pipe, 20 feet in the air, fully structured around it to take
But
that
as you
force.
said, the weather and different things makes a lot of difference on where
Correct.
it disperses.
It's
So
going to
the
make a
weather
difference
that
where you
night-
smell it too.
Yeah.
Right,
It was very clear that gas
Go
is
ahead.
going way up in the air.
okay.
You said heat sink, is that what you called it? That keeps it melted?
Heat trace.
Heat trace? And what does that consist of? Why, I mean, the lady earlier asked, what is, you know, if it happened once, why couldn't it happen again? What, I guess, what is the heat?
Heat trace is, there's a variety of different kinds. There's kind that you can go down to Home Depot and buy, and people put it on their roof lines, and it's just basically a heated wire.
Oh,
The
okay.
kind that we use is a much more industrial rated type. It's rated to be, so it has to be electrically classified, so it's not going to cause a spark or potential for
So
cause.
the pipe is wrapped.
Yeah, it's
The pipe is insulated with the heat trace inside.
I see.
And what failed was the thermostat.
in the back corner, green jacket.
Alright, so, I appreciate you guys coming out tonight. I feel like you guys are the messengers in a really hard situation. I feel like you're attempting to put your best foot forward in a really difficult situation, but I've still got some really deep concerns. Not necessarily with you, but this is a corporate venture. I have an inherent distrust of corporations. So forgive me if my distrust gets thrown at you tonight.
That's fine.
Your verbiage of melting, plume, and 37-minute response, when it's usually a minute and a half, were concerning. Like, you guys are in the industry, so you have a knowledge of what the potential is. And when you use the words melting and plumes, I get worried. Because I don't want anything melting, and I'm not a fan of the plumes. The 50-minute plume is disconcerting. I get the bonding, I get the air, I get the blobby, blobby, blobby. You are still showering me with chemicals. And to tell me different is misusing your knowledge. And then my other question is,
You would have had a phone call just like that, and you'd have known what was going on just like that. You can't beat a human being
Clearly.
eyes and on site. You just can't. You said no, we don't do it that way. That's not how it's going to be. So we spoke 3 or 4 times, and you've thrown it right out the window. So evidently, you're really not listening. But
Well, I'm listening, and I don't want there to be any ambiguity. So unfortunately, at some point, it was indicated to me tonight that they were told that years ago that we were going to staff the station.
We were told.
The reason I'm answering so quickly is because I don't want there to be any ambiguity about it. We're not staffing the station 24/7.
But if you did,
I'm not blowing it off. I'm just giving you a direct, honest answer.
I'm saying it's not good enough.
Yes, I realize that. I understand.
I would cede my space to the lady at the floor who lives immediately proximate to it.
In 2007, when you guys were seizing our land for this thing, we were told by the people then and at subsequent meetings here that would be manned 24 hours a day. That's what we were told. We want to know why that was, we were clearly lied to. And secondly, why, what would make us then think that you guys were going to tell us the truth about everything now? And I'm not speaking specifically about you, but I'm talking about your corporation. And especially if you look back at its history, I did quite a bit of research. It's had its issues. So why would we believe the corporation that lied to us to begin with?
I wasn't there, so I don't know the circumstances. I apologize. I wasn't there. So, like I said, I'm not trying to be. I'm trying to be very direct and not ambiguous.
No, but it makes sense that, you know, a 50-minute response versus a second response if there was a person there could mean lives. Seriously. What if that was a much bigger deal than just that station? What if you couldn't see it? You didn't know for sure. You said that you knew about it just before we were calling in, but what really told you what it was the people calling in. What if none of us called in?
Well, we
saw it still would have been 50 minutes.
We saw a series of alarms, like I said. The first alarm came in as just call attendant at the station. Next series of alarm that came in was a low pressure alarm, so we knew we were losing gas at that point.
Okay, but you said you didn't look at
Point A1, that between those 2 points, I had a problem. So we shut those in. No.
the person there would have been on the horn.
when I called in, was it 40 minutes after? 40 minutes after, and they still couldn't tell me any idea what was going on. They had no idea.
For one, he mentioned the effects is
It
based
gets
on,
there, and it's gonna stay there, so what's your problem?
the effects is based on weather. Yes, I agree with you, because the weather, atmosphere pressure that night was low. He's gonna tell you it came straight up and it froze.
Right.
Well, what goes up comes down, okay? There should be somebody mandating that station 24 hours a day, not one but two a team. Reason why? One person can fall asleep. Somebody's always screwing up. Now, the follow-up from this, there should be somebody there to measure the gas levels that come in the atmosphere, okay? That night, there should have been somebody there. There wasn't. But yet, somebody said it was all clear, stand down. Where did they get their information that it's safe? You know, these guys are miles away. They don't hear what we hear. They didn't get jumped out of their bed. They wasn't frightened for their lives. There needs to be somebody there 24 hours a day. I want to start a campaign to get everybody on board, to have somebody there. I also want to start a campaign to, they said they didn't need the gas pole the other day because it ran in the winter, right? So, shut it down. I could care less, because you know what that gas bended out into the air? He said he had a 24-mile section of pipe and reservoir for this, right? Bent it back into another section of pipe 24 miles. Spend your money, protect your neighbors, take care of us so we don't have to hear that noise, smell the gas, or be afraid of our lives for it.